Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Don with us all the way from Texas, and he is basically a founder of Achieve New Heights and focused on leadership coaching, writing a book, and doing a few other things. So, Don, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, Tony. And after 7 years living in Europe with the U.S. Air Force, I just love the country that you have and the food and of course the beer. And so it's a great opportunity to be with you this morning. Yeah, I'm 27 years in the U.S. Air Force, 9 years in corporate as a management consultant. Then I started my own company doing leadership training and coaching. I just loved when I could help people in the military and corporate achieve things beyond what they thought, right? We have all these different things with how do we lead ourselves, habits, discipline, et cetera, but then how do we lead others? And we try to do it from power and ego and strength, right? And authority. And that's not it. It's about influence. So I really am big into influence. I'm a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, coach. So I get to use his material. He's the #1 leadership author in the world. And just really enjoyed that. But God has really pulled me into career transition coaching, helping military spouses and veterans in their transition out of the service or between jobs find that job that really energizes them so they can have the life that fulfills them. And that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, totally. Thanks a lot for that introduction. And also, when we were in the green room, you mentioned a little bit about this because you're sort of like looking at this angle on how to help people actually get the job faster. Yeah, with a resume.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, I was talking to, I was at a job fair last year and I asked the employers, this was in San Antonio, Texas. So I talked to city, county, federal government, nonprofits, corporate. I said, of all the people that are coming up to you today, what do you wish they knew? And they said, we wish they would read the position description they're applying for.
Hmm.
And I said, well, I got to challenge that a little bit. I said, I bet everybody that you would talk to with that challenge would say they read it. And they said, well, it certainly doesn't show it in their resume. I said, give me a little bit more. They said it's bland. It covers their entire career. It doesn't focus in on the position that we're hiring for. You know, we're looking for this. They're not talking that. We're looking for this. They're not talking that. So we throw their resume out. I said, I know they get really frustrated when they're not getting a response back. And he said, well, we don't think they're taking it seriously, so we just toss them and we move on. We're too busy. We got, 200 to 300 resumes per job. I said, so how do you talk to me about that? And they said, it should be almost as elementary as we're looking for this. Tell me this, right? I want 5 years experience in this area. I got 5 years experience. I want a degree in this. I got a degree in that, or the suitable sub that they authorize. I need a certification in this. I got the certification, right? I need experience in this role. I've got experience in that role, and just almost checkbox, boom, 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 boom. And then when they say that a recruiter has 6 to 8 seconds, that's what they're looking for. They know what they're looking for in the job, in the resume, and it's like check, check, check. They'll move it forward. No check, no check, no check goes to the trash can. That's simple. But most people don't do that. They just keep sending out the same resume, tired resume, right? That's talks their entire career, but doesn't talk the job. And they're not getting responses. And that's leading into 6 to 7 months between jobs. It leads to frustration. It leads to depression. There's a study out there that says, we're losing 22 military and veterans in the USA, and I think it goes to other countries too. 22 a day to suicide. And they're thinking that a big part of that is career transition. It's how they're coming out of the service and what they don't understand about the civilian job market and the frustration part about that. Because they've never had to look for a job before. So I'm just trying to reduce that. That was a
I,
long explanation, but
I mean, this is, you actually mentioned quite a number of points. First of all,
Mhm.
I feel really sorry for anyone, having to be in that position that they take their life and everything. But if
Yeah.
anyone, watching us is thinking about these kind of things, think about all the possibilities and all the solutions that you may find. For example, as simple as this, because this was a really, really great point that you made about resumes. I
Mhm.
see this all the time. People are actually really, if you go to school, university, anywhere, yeah, like, and you get questions, people ask you questions, you answer those questions. You don't
Hmm.
just, like sort of submit the same paper for all the subjects. Yeah, you
That's
just
right.
answer exactly the questions that they ask you, and this is so huge because people are sort of like applying for job. It's a big thing in the life in
Hmm.
someone's life. Applying for a job, wanting to change career or do something new or like sort of move on with their career, and they're sending this old resume or
Hmm.
maybe new resume, but like it doesn't really answer those questions that the
Hmm.
recruiters or the company is asking for. I mean, such a big point and so simple. This is like one of those
Hmm.
points where you go like, wow, like why is no one talking about this? Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we
I
have
think I love your analogy with the schoolwork. You
Mhm.
wouldn't submit a math paper for a history test, right?
No.
With your boss, you wouldn't submit an answer to last week's question this week on a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
question, right? That's a great analogy, right?
Yeah,
So write the current paper to the current job. Yeah, I think that's great.
exactly.
So do you see the same thing in entrepreneurs, right? Because
Yeah.
they'll get in and they'll get stuck and
Hmm.
they'll keep trying to beat their head against the wall. And
Yeah,
sometimes you got to step back,
totally.
relook at the situation, relook at the problem, and come up with a new solution. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah. I see the same thing. And I'm also thinking as you're talking about this, like, obviously, this is a huge blind spot in the actual, in this whole industry, in this massive industry. Yeah. And how many blind spots are actually people having in different things when they're sort of like just doing things on habit, yeah, like,
Hmm.
okay, so what we need to do, for example, if someone is thinking about we need to get a job, oh, we just need to send 200 resumes, 300 resumes and do these things. But no, it's like you maybe we have to send like five and get a job and get an
Hmm.
interview, as long as you answer those questions. I mean, it's such a
Yeah.
big point.
Yeah.
What
Hiring
about
is a
that?
hard part for an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Finding people who have the right skills and the right mindset. In fact, there's a lot of people out there now talking hire for the mindset, right? Hire
Hmm.
for the attitude. I can teach you the skills.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we're doing it the opposite way. We hire for skills, and then we find out that their mindset, their attitude, their discipline is not there.
Exactly.
And then we get frustrated and we have to let them go because
Yeah.
it's
And
mhm.
then another question I have for you that just came
Mhm.
out of our conversation right now. Like, what's your opinion on how AI will actually
Ah.
shape or affect leadership and job search and all these things? Because this is what I've been thinking recently. Like, I have really young kids, and they're sort of, I'm just thinking, what they're going to do in few years' time. Either they're going
Mhm.
to be like riding this great wave of AI, or their
Mhm.
jobs or businesses will be
Mhm.
taken by AI. So what's your
Mhm.
take on that?
AI is a great tool to help you get there, used properly.
Hmm.
It's just like you should for a college. You shouldn't go in and say, "Hey, write me a paper on this," and then submit it, right? Because it's not in your text. It's not in you haven't verified it, right? You haven't used the right stories. You haven't personalized it. Same way with a job. You see a position description. Write me a resume for this position description. Well, a lot of times people will reference their LinkedIn profile, but their LinkedIn profile is what it is, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If it's
Yeah.
not really good value-based, high impact bullets in your LinkedIn, which most of them aren't, most
Mhm.
resumes are not, then you're going to get out from AI the exact same thing. So what I like to do is give it back and say, okay, given my resume, given this position description, how am I, give me a percentage of where I'm at in terms of meeting the requirements.
Mhm.
It'll pop out. Okay, 70%. I'll say, tell me what's good. Tell me what's not so good. What areas do I need to improve? And then it's like, oh, I'm missing this. I'm missing this. I mean, okay, now I can pull those things back out, right? And now I have to think what things in my career fit that role, that requirement, whatever it is. And then I build it out. And then once I get there to where I'm addressing the right things, now I come back to AI and say, okay, let's take this bullet and make it a challenge action result bullet. And I'll give it back to AI and say, what things am I missing? Ask me some questions about this. And then AI will start asking questions and I'll start answering them. And then I say, okay, now use all that information to build me a two-line bullet that addresses this role. And it can do that. And then you can actually go back and say, okay, beef this up a little bit more. Because all of a sudden you'll trigger something in your mind. Well, let me add this, let me add that. So as long as you're using it as a very interactive approach to get to where you want to be, I think AI is a great tool. But what I see most people do is, hey, AI, write me a resume given my LinkedIn profile for this position. Oh, that looks good. Poof, and they send it because they can do 10 or 15 a day, right? And then go play golf.
Mhm.
And they're not spending that time. So, but I think that's the way it is for AI all across the board, right? You really gotta know how to use it and how to help it leverage to get you the best product at the end. You kind of got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
I agree as well. And yeah, so that's the current situation. And then obviously going forward in few years' time, what's your expectation on this?
For AI,
Yeah.
well, now companies are now using AI. They're actually able to recognize there's certain indicators, I guess, of when people are using AI to write their resume. Somebody
Mhm.
just told me that last week, when you see used to, a lot of times we have colons, semicolons, or dashes. Sometimes
Dashes. Yeah, a lot of dashes, long
yeah,
dashes. So
yeah, the long dash, I guess, is like an AI characteristic, right? It
signature.
goes,
Yeah.
yeah, it goes right from character to character,
Hmm.
letter to letter. And when I write it, I always put a space dash space, right? A short dash.
Yeah.
So I'm always going in and changing those, and I'm changing some other things to make
Hmm.
sure that AI is it's not real apparent that I'm using AI, and I'm always pulling in my own stories. Yeah. So I love what I've been using AI now for about 3 months writing articles almost every day for LinkedIn, but I always go back through and I spend, another 10, 15 minutes kind of rewriting it, pulling those
Hmm.
points out, putting my stories in. So it really personalizes it
Yeah.
and it makes it mine. So
Wonderful.
but I think we're only scratching the surface. I
Yeah.
keep looking at things like Coursei and some others, and course, yeah, I think it's Coursei, um, to go in and learn all the different models of AI because different ones are good on different things. But I just haven't made that plunge yet.
Yeah, definitely. So, going forward, I mean, how people can get in touch with you or learn more about you or connect to you?
Yeah, the best way is through LinkedIn.
Hmm.
My name is Don, middle initial L, Gleason. I'm the only Don L Gleason. There's like 65 Don Gleasons in some form or another. So that separates me out. And just shoot me a note. Say, hey, I heard you here on Entrepreneurs,
Open book entrepreneurs. Yeah.
thank you, Open Book Entrepreneurs, and would love to have a conversation with you. Conversation's free, right?
Yeah.
Let's just figure where you're at, how I can help you, and then we'll go from there, depending on where you're at. But there's always connections, always ways I can help.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, one final thought before we close this episode, like one final piece of advice or anything else you would like to share with our audience. Yeah, just let us know.
Um, I think it's the same thing we were just talking about with entrepreneurs, right? You've got to develop a resilience. When you're an entrepreneur, man, it's hard, right? I was just thinking about the things I had to go through. You talk about being an open book, an entrepreneur. So I am an entrepreneur. Figuring out my niche, that was a challenge, right? I wanted to serve architect, engineer, construction companies, but that's not what they were looking for. With leadership. So God kept pulling me back to career transition with my military. So finding that niche is important, right? Figuring out how to get the clients, the lead generation system, how are you introducing yourself? So there's so many different pieces of that entrepreneur. You have to really build resilience and attack each of those. And I think it's the same in the career transition. If you're not spending the time and if you're hitting a wall, you got to back up. Just like you're on an obstacle course, right? I got to back up and relook at how I attack this problem. Don't just keep sending out and sending out and sending out, beating your head against the wall, getting the same result. Figure out how to change the approach to get a different result. And it was interesting. I've been writing the articles, like I said, on LinkedIn, and I've been getting 300 to 1,200 impressions a day. Yesterday, I got 21,000 from a post I did on Friday and was about, have you ever gotten 10 pieces of advice from 10 different people and you're not sure where to turn?
Hmm.
Boy, that resonated with so many people, right? And I started giving some answers last night of you got to pull out of that what you think is right for you.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge. So I think it's building the resilience and reattacking the problem. It's just
Definitely.
big, works for everything, but I think definitely in the career transition piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we also have the other challenge as well, something that I experienced with different businesses as well. Like when we start making changes, yeah, like to make sure that we actually keep the things that are working well. That's super
Yeah.
important because a lot of times, people start making changes and then they change the stuff that was working as well,
Yeah.
and then it crashes, and this
That's right.
happens a lot as well.
That's right. And I think, having a good mentor would be really important.
Yeah,
It's important in everything, right? An entrepreneur, you got to have a mentor who's gone through
yeah,
the business before you.
yeah, yeah,
And I think in career transition, you got to do the same. In work, you got to do the same. I don't
yeah.
think we rely enough on mentors. And I never really had a good mentor.
Hmm.
I finally found one when I was a captain, and we've stayed in touch for now 30 years. And he's really helped me. I could take things to him, but it's not like we met routinely, but I could always go to him and ask questions.
Yeah.
And so he was really good. I still use him.
Fantastic. Yeah. Use
Mhm.
mentors and coaches.
That's right.
Excellent.
Oh
All the
yeah,
best. Yeah.
coaches are very good too.
That's great. Don, thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. Don, that was a great story and also, number of great tips that you shared as well. So, yeah, if you like this episode, anyone watching us, if you like this episode, drop us a like, subscribe. If you have any questions for Don and me, you can ask them in the description of this, in the comments of this episode. And see you all in the next episode. All the best and bye bye.